The D-man is fired up, and anytime the D-man is fired up, that's okay with me. What are you fired up about?
Okay. All right. Thanks. I was just confirming right then and there, Les, that I was talking to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame.
Springfield,
Brad
Mass.
Stevens' bust is still on. He will be a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame at some point. They have not canceled plans to have him in the Hall.
But he hasn't won anything.
The most overrated coach in NBA history, and he's only coached 6 years. 0 finals. Couldn't even get out of the conference semis yesterday.
Do you think Boston is ready to unload him?
Stevens, no.
Yeah.
They're ready to unload Irving.
Yeah.
But my point is, if you're as great as everybody told me Brad Stevens was, because remember last year when the Celtics take the 3-2 lead on the Cavs in the conference, Auerbach can learn from, Auerbach, God rest his soul. Auerbach could probably learn, and he's not even with us anymore. Popovich could learn from Brad Stevens. He's the most amazing coach. Hey, Les, have you ever seen Brad Stevens' inbound plays? They're the most incredible things you've ever seen.
Better than anybody you can think of?
He had the Bucks so turned around in the last 4 games of the Eastern Conference semifinals, they could only beat the Celtics by 50 instead of 55.
You can't get yourself beat by that kind of points.
What a humiliation. And there's no tears shed about anything that happens bad to the Celtics, okay?
And it happens on top of, you talk about rest of the soul, and John Havlicek passes away, and that's what they're left with. The guy who hustled more than anybody, maybe in the history of the game, in talking about Havlicek, and that's what they leave. That's what the Boston Celtics have turned into.
Les, I know that we have Indians to talk about, but last night's NBA developments were so enormous that you just have to talk about them now, in my opinion.
All right, let's start. All right, go ahead.
Well, start with the early game of the two, Celtics-Bucks.
Celtics get blown out by the Bucks. Never a doubt in that game.
Game 1. Boston destroys the Bucks in Milwaukee, thinks they're going to roll right through it. Irving thinks it's going to be his, another one of his great series.
Parties.
He takes over, and he can't make anything, okay? Bucks win the next 4 games. Giannis is dominant. Budenholzer coaches circles around Stevens. Now, you not only have questions about, Stevens will stay. But you have questions about Irving. I think the question is answered. I don't think he's back. That's not any revelatory statement.
And he won't want to be back. He won't want to be back.
I think he's played his last game for the Celtics. He's happy to leave. And believe me, his now former teammates, or when he declines the Celtics option, they will be ecstatic that Irving's out of the building.
All right.
2-year colossal failed experiment. And you ask, what does that have to do with Cleveland? Well, number one, of course, Irving is inextricably linked to the championship in 16. We never take that away from him, but you can criticize Irving when it goes south for him in the other place that he said, remember, so much better than Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's a real sports town. Remember he told us that?
He did.
He didn't have to burn the Cleveland Bridge if he didn't want to.
Right.
But he did. Okay?
It was low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. So we have a right in this town to criticize Kyrie now while still cherishing what he did in 16. That doesn't they're not mutually they can be mutually exclusive. They don't have to be tied together.
I was on 92.3 The Fan a couple of days ago, and it was brought up that you got to put up a statue for LeBron and of course Kyrie. I don't think it's and of course Kyrie. I know he got the biggest shot, maybe the biggest shot in history. You don't put up. You didn't put up a statue for Steve Kerr or Paxson in Chicago.
Right. I agree with you. I don't think Kyrie played long enough. And yes, the shot was incredibly important. But if there's going to be a statue of a Cav, it's got to be LeBron and not Kyrie.
All right, now let's move to Kevin Durant.
Well, yeah, but let me say one other thing though before we get to Durant. The Celtics without Irving go back to being a team that Brad Stevens can presumably thrive with. The little engine that doesn't have a star. That's my point about Stevens.
Right now in the East, Philadelphia is better, Milwaukee is better. Who else is better?
Toronto.
And Toronto.
Philadelphia is not showing it right now against Toronto, but clearly Toronto and Milwaukee are better. Now, on to the next game, which was Lakers-Rockets.
Not Lakers.
Excuse me, Warriors-Rockets, because LeBron's and the Lakers are in dysfunction. Warriors-Rockets, Game 5. Durant goes down with what looked like it could be an Achilles.
Yeah.
It's turned out that it's a calf strain. They've confirmed not an Achilles tear. Good for Durant. Obviously good for the Warriors.
Well, good for him, except even if he doesn't lose any games, he still has one more to play to get to the finals. And then he's got 4 out of 7 there, and then he's got 4 out of 7s in the finals. That thing's going to wear him. If it's not a tear, it still isn't going to be very pretty.
Yeah, we don't know what his status is going forward. Almost assuredly, I think he's going to miss Game 6 in Houston. Don't know about Game 7. But here's the point that I was making to Brian before you had arrived from your other engagement that you were dealing with. I talked to Brian and I said, the Rockets had the series on a silver platter when Durant went down.
Right.
The basketball gods had gifted the Rockets this series. Win this game with him out and take it home and win it in 6.
It's sort of like Draymond Green getting suspended against the Cavaliers.
Yes, in some respects, yes. And you were tied going into the fourth quarter. You're the Rockets. What in the world happened to James Harden in the fourth quarter?
No idea.
Another disappearing act when the money is on the line. Harden is a wonderful player, but he now has a history of shrinking when the real money is on the table.
Right.
Okay? Here was another opportunity. I think the stat was he took one shot, or the reality was he took one shot in the final 8 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Well, is that his teammates not trusting him, or is that himself not wanting to grab it when he could?
It's the latter, Les. I watched the game, as did many, many people. He had plenty of opportunities to shoot and at least create a shot or force a shot, like he always does.
Like he does in regular season.
But for some reason, he deferred. And after the game, they're asking him, where were you the final 8 minutes? Oh, I was making the right basketball play. Last time I checked, James, the right basketball play for the Houston Rockets
with you on the team.
With you on the team is the ball's in your hands and the ball's being shot by you.
All right, quickly, LeBron James.
Well, LeBron is in flux now because Lue says no. Everything in the NBA has a Cleveland connection running through it. We know that. Lue, negotiations with the Lakers fall apart. They try to lowball Lue with a 3-year deal. He wants a 5. They want to put coaches on his staff. He knows better than that because how did he usurp David Blatt?
Sure.
He was put on his staff, okay? So now you have LeBron presumably going, wait a minute, why am I not being coached by Lue this morning, okay? Lue's presumably out of there. To which I say, by the way, the fans are planning a protest outside of Staples tomorrow.
Oh, that'll work.
We'll see how many people show up. But there's a lot of dysfunction in Lakerland. To which I say, Lakers, you can solve your problems. LeBron, you can solve your problem if you do the following. Number 1, LeBron says to Lue, hang on, just hold on a few weeks, okay? Don't do anything.
A few weeks may turn into 5 years.
Well, yeah, exactly. Don't do anything rash. Don't go out of the country. Just be at the ready. And number 2, wait for Kyrie to decline his option, and then LeBron makes Kyrie his number 1 recruit.